We love South.
Hey everyone, it's Mr. Meyer here, and I've got a quick winter maps data update for you. So this kind of falls in with our kind of Title I parent meeting that we had earlier this year, and also with our curriculum night. So if you happen to show up or watch our live YouTube event called Curriculum Night, you know that we did talk a little bit about what maps testing is, how we use that here at South Elementary, and then also kind of what that means for your child. And so what I want to give here is not really an individual report, but kind of a school-wide report. And so I've shared this with the teachers already, but I also do think it's important for you as parents to kind of see and know, kind of what's going on. What does our whole district look like? What kind of goals are we setting? What kind of things are we doing to try to meet those goals? And so this is your winter maps data kind of update. And so I want to share with you kind of what we have and what we use every single year. Our school comes up with an action plan. These are things that are available for you to see on the website if you ever did want to. But just kind of recapping what our plan or our action plan goals were this year. For math, what we were looking to do, and let me first say that this is all based off of our MAPS testing. We wanted to get our first graders, they average up to the 50th percentile, okay? We started this at about the 42nd percentile, and you're going to see our numbers here in just a second. And so for us to get ourselves up to the 50th percentile, we were going to have to exceed what MAPS requires as average growth by 2.1 points to meet that goal. So kind of a recap of what we talked about during curriculum night, that MAPS is a nationally normed test, which means they have kind of come up with average growth, they have percentiles, those sorts of things, and it's based off of students all across the country. And so average growth for a first grader in math is 16.4 points, and that's from the fall testing to the spring testing. And so we were going to have an average of about 18.5 points for us to get bumped from the 42nd to the 50th percentile. Now, in second grade, we started a little bit lower. Now, this is not something to be alarmed about. We started lower for a couple of reasons. For one thing, we had COVID stuff last year where our students had a big amount of time that they had off from being in school. And then also the second grade test is considerably harder than the first grade test in the fact that they have to read it on their own, whereas the first grade MAPS testing is read to them. So that reading stamina really comes in play. And what you will do is you will see nationally across the board, scores do tend to dip. So we started at the 28th percentile. We were trying to make a goal of getting ourselves up to the 41st. Ultimately, we want to get our students to the 50th, but that's a pretty big jump to make right in 1 year. So we were going to try to get at least about half of that. In order to get up to the 41st percentile, we were going to have to exceed that average growth by 4.2 points, which means our students were going to have to make 18.6 points of growth. And of course, average you can see there is 14.4. So we are going to have to do some extra work. Okay. In reading, much the same, about the same for percentiles. We were going to get our first graders up to the 50th again. We started a little lower in reading, about the 37th percentile. Now, again, is all based off of fall scores, which meant we needed to exceed average growth by 3.9 points to meet our goal. Average growth is about 15.5. So our students needed to make 19.4 points of growth in order for us to achieve our goal. Second grade was going to get to the 42nd percentile. We started about the 29th, same kind of stuff. We were going to need 5 extra points of growth, which means our students needed to get 18.2. Average growth is 13.2. So that's our action plan. Those were the goals that our teachers set. We put in a lot of things in place to try to meet our goals. We did a lot with goal setting with our students so that they understood what those scores mean. We try to tie our lessons to map growth when we teach in class. We try to teach that relevance of it, all the great things that kind of make the kids kind of be aware of their own learning to try to boost our kids. Okay, so what I want to share with you now, we're talking just first grade only at this point, is kind of where we started and then where we are at right now. So as you can see, MAPS kind of divides our students up into percentiles, and they do it by about every 20%. And so you can see that we are pretty heavy on the lower percentiles. percentiles and not so heavy on the upper percentiles. And so when we look at our scores for reading now, this is where we are. We definitely knocked down a lot of our 0 to 20 percentile students. We have bumped them up, moved them up, and our 81 to the 99th percentile students, look at that. We've doubled the amount of kids that are in that blue area, which is pretty darn awesome. So our students made a lot of growth, and we've had some great achievements that have happened so far. You can see those kind of numbers. You can see the red is where we went down. The green is where we went up. We went up in all the good ones. We went down in all the ones we wanted to go down in. So things are definitely looking up for us. So let's break this down a little bit more. Looking at our mean average in the fall. So this is the average. All of our students, their average score was a 151.6. Again, that put us in the 37th percentile. The mean average in the winter was 166.1, which bumped us up to the 48th percentile, which is so awesome. We wanted to get our kids to the 50th, and right now we are sitting at the 48th percentile. So we've really kind of closed that gap to get to our goal. Our average of the goals that we set for our students was a 164.3. So we definitely overachieved on even our goals, which was awesome. Really cool and good news for us right there. Looking in math, the mean average in the fall was a 157.5. Again, this put us at the 42nd percentile. Our goal was to get to the 50th. Our average now in the winter is a 173.1. This puts us at the 58th percentile. So again, huge gains for our students, means good things for us. The average of the goals was a 169.9. So again, we overachieved by about 3 points, which is really fantastic for our students. So they did an excellent job. Looking at where we still need to go, we still need about 5.1 points of growth in reading to get to our goal. Now, the average growth from winter to spring is 5.5. So it's actually, average growth is more than what we need, which is pretty awesome to see. Looking at math, same kind of thing. We need 2.9 points more growth on our mean for us to get to that 50th percentile. Average growth is 6.2. So we're quite a bit ahead, which is awesome. So talking about goal setting, we had 57 out of our 74 kids that met their goals in reading. That's 77% of our students. 77% of our students met their goals. That is amazing. MAPS says that about 50% of your students should meet goals. So us having that high of a number is fantastic. 55 out of 74 met it in math, which is about 74%. Now, here's the cool thing about this. Because we had to make up extra gains to meet our goals, we set stretch goals for our students that were actually higher than what MAPS projected them to grow at. And so those stretch goals were higher than projected growth, which is one of the reasons why we've jumped up so high in our percentiles, because our kids are achieving that much more stuff, which is awesome. Projected growth for winter to spring, 5.5 points for reading, 6.2 points for math. So we still need about 5.1 in reading to meet our action goal. That's 0.5 less than projected growth. That means we're ahead of the game. We started out way behind, and we've caught ourselves up and actually gotten ourselves ahead, which is awesome. Even better in math, 2.9 to make our action plan goal, and 3.3 that is less than the projected growth. And so we definitely have made up some ground, which is awesome. So if we just meet projected growth, we'll be at the 58th percentile in math and at the 50th in reading, and our goal was to be at the 50th in both. And so we have definitely made some great positive gains there in first grade, which is super awesome. Let's switch gears. Let's talk second grade. Here we are in second grade. This is where we started. You remember we were a little bit lower in our second grade scores. Our 81 to 99th percentile is pretty thin. 0 to 20th, pretty heavy. Right where we're at right now, looking at good stuff. We have knocked down numbers in the 0 to the 40th percentile, and we have grown in every other one. And not only grown, but we've quadrupled our scores of students that were in the 80th and above, which is super awesome news for our students, and just great kudos to our teachers for doing the things that they do. So let's break this down just like we did for first grade. Our average in the fall was a 163.4 in reading. That put us at the 29th percentile. Our average in the winter, a 178.8. That's over 15 points of growth. That bumped us up to the 42nd percentile. That's awesome. Our average goals was a 175.6. So 3 points over our goals that we set, which is super good. Mean average in the fall math was a 167.4. 28th percentile was where we started at. We are now at 182.9 as our average. That puts us at the 46th percentile, which is really great. Really great news for those kids, especially from where we started at. Average of our goals was a 179.5. So again, really overachieving even on our goals, which was really, really good to see. We still need about 3.2 points of growth in reading. Average is 4.4. We need 3.1 points of growth in math. The average is 5.4. So we are definitely setting in a good place. Let's break it down even more, just like we did before. Looking at goal setting for our students, we had 61 out of 93 kids meet their goals in reading. That was 66%. In math, we had 73 out of 93 that met their goals. That's 78%. That's crazy good that we had that many kids that were motivated by their goals, their scores. They knew what they needed to do. They've been working on it all semester long, and it showed up when they did their testing. That's awesome. Again, these were stretch goals. A lot of these goals were higher than projected growth. This is why we made up the ground. This is why we've gotten ahead of ourselves, because we have set those high goals and our students met them. It's awesome. Projected growth for winter to spring is a little bit less than it is from fall to winter. So we're looking at projected growth of 4.4 points in reading, 5.4 points in math. So if we still need to get 3.2 points of growth in reading to meet our action goal, that means we're 1.2 points less than what projected growth is. That means we are ahead. If we get projected growth, we're definitely meeting our goal and above. That's great. We need 3.1 points of growth in math. That's 2.3 points less than projected growth. If we just met projected growth from winter to spring, we'll be at the 43rd percentile in math and the 44th percentile in reading. Met our goals and actually gone above our goals, which is really, really good, especially because those goals were very lofty to start with. We needed to really bump ourselves up a little bit, and we have. Our students have worked so hard. So what does this mean for you guys as parents? So hopefully, I don't know, some of you guys maybe aren't data nerds and geeks like I am, but if you do know what I'm talking about here, what it means is we just need to keep going. We need to keep going with what we're doing. Things that we're doing here are working. Our intervention systems we have in place are doing amazing things for our students. All kids are getting kind of what they need when they need it, which is great. So that continued support from you at home, reinforcing that. Ask them about their goals. We just got done as a staff on our early out day setting our next goals for our students. So we're going to talk to them and be talking to them in the next couple of weeks about, what is your spring goal? How are you going to get to your goal? We've looked at our MAP scores and decided what areas of focus do we need to look at for this next semester so that we can get our students to the point that they need to. We're going to catch up that unfinished learning that we had last year and move past and still give them that whole full year's growth here at Sydney Public Schools this year. So all in all, things are looking great. Your students have all done a fantastic job. I know a lot of you got some Class Dojo messages from me. I sent those out. If any student had more than a 15-point growth from their fall score, and we had a bunch of kids. I sent out a lot of messages, which was pretty awesome. We gave badges out for students who met their goals. I gave out a bunch of badges. You can see, we had 61 reading badges, 73 and math badges just in second grade alone. So our kids are doing fantastic. They are rock stars. They are trying their best. They are giving their best effort. So a lot needs to be commended for them and their work, and our teachers that are working hard, and you guys as parents supporting at home. So I appreciate you listening to this video. I really do. It's always good to be informed as a parent and kind of know what's going on, seeing the things that we do here at school, how that impacts your student, and how we're going to move forward. It's super, super important with us being a title school and just being a a school for your students. So here's what I would love to see. I would love to see you put a like on this video to show me how many of you could watch it all the way to the end and kind of could hang there with me. And hopefully I didn't lose you too much in these numbers. But if you do have any questions, you can, of course, reach out to me on Class Dojo at any point in time. I would love to break it down for you a little bit more. Reports. Individual reports for students should be going home next week. We kind of have to wait for our district to close its testing window to get the full reports, so as we have schools kind of across the district that are still testing. So those should be going home next week, so please look for those in folders. We also have a read plan update letter that is going home, so if your student happened to be on a read plan identified through our maps reading, there will be an update sheet that is going home as well with those maps. So a couple of big important things going home next week. Take a look, see if you can find them in the folders. I'll try to throw out something on Class Dojo to let you know. But I appreciate you very, very much. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. Have a fantastic rest of your day.